Hi, and welcome to another episode of Meet the Animals from Prehistoric World. So right here, we have another fan favorite. This is Lava, the bearded dragon. And Lava is named so because Lava's got some really cool colors, as you can see here. These, bright oranges and reds and a little bit of yellow here definitely is reminiscent of, well, lava. And being a bearded dragon, they are a really cool species. So one of the things that makes a bearded dragon is the chin right here. This is what we call the beard. Now right now, it's going to look like it's mostly an orangish color, but if Lava wants to be the boss bearded dragon, or if Lava wants to go for dominance, like, become, aggressive or angry, then the beard will turn solid black. So they can actually flush the melanin, this is skin coloration and scale and hair coloration, from their skin into their scales to make their beard solidly black. And once they do that, it's usually accompanied by a signature bearded dragon head bob. It goes a little bit like this, and that is to show that they're the boss. Now, you may be wondering, how come they use colors and body language to communicate that? And that's because bearded dragons like this don't have very well developed vocal cords. So they're not really capable of making a lot of noises. So they communicate with colors and with body language. Lava here is actually not a rescue. So we get a lot of rescue animals at Prehistoric World, but Lava is not actually a rescue. We got Lava a long time ago, before the zoo was even open. And bearded dragons live to about 10 to 12 years. Lava here is over 5 years old. So Lava is definitely past, the typical midlife scene, but hopefully we'll have Lava for many more years, because we really like Lava a lot. Lava is an adult male. Lava's been to all kinds of birthday parties and schools and libraries, and he's really great with a lot of people. So he has been to a lot of places. He's traveled with us all across the country, and he's just really great. He's one of my personal favorites here at the zoo, and I think his great personality is what makes him a favorite at the zoo a lot. Now, what do bearded dragons eat? Well, they are omnivore, so they're going to eat a lot of vegetable matter and insects. So they're going to eat things like crickets, worms, and roaches. In the wild, they'll even eat smaller lizards and things like that, or even baby mice, like what we call pinkies. They may raid a nest, something like that. And in the wild, whenever it comes to vegetable matter, which they don't get a whole lot of in the wild, because this one right here is Pogona viticeps, the inland bearded dragon, and they're from the Australian outback. That's where the steakhouses are at. So they are not really getting too many vegetables out in the wild, but when it rains in the desert, you'll have all these desert flowers and plants grow, and they're like, it's a smorgasbord, and they go after every flower and leaf they can get. So what we do here is, we kind of pace it out a little bit, to give them, because if you give them greens every day, if you've had a bearded dragon before, after a while they get bored of that. So, mixing it up is really helpful for these guys. So they'll see that orange, they'll see that yellow, and they get really excited, because those are the colors of the flowers they typically eat. And that's kind of the things that they like. So definitely omnivorous, omni meaning all, they eat all kinds of things. They do lay eggs, like most reptiles, so that is how they reproduce, and they're really super cute when they're young. And they do climb a little bit. They're not as much of an arboreal or tree-dwelling species like some geckos and certain other predominids, but they can climb something, as you can see one on my shoulder. Matter of fact, to tie into what we were talking about earlier, the boss bearded dragon often climbs on things to be up top and keep a lookout for danger. Now, you may notice Lava here taking a look over there, and off camera is another bearded dragon. So, just keeping an eye on them, because sometimes, they gotta keep, decide who's the boss and all that. But, yeah, really neat animal. And, there's one more thing that's unique about Lava, is what we call a leatherback. So he has a gene that makes the scales a little bit smoother, a little bit softer. So you may notice there's not as many spikes as your typical bearded dragon here on the sides. Now he's different from what's called a silkback, which is also known as a scaleless bearded dragon, where they're missing most of their scales. He is covered in scales, but he does have half the genetics for that. So long story short, I'll keep it simple here. What happens is that the scales are kind of more fine, but they're not completely missing. So yeah, super cool. So that's about it for Lava the Bearded Dragon. But before we go, I want to say thank you to our Patreons and our so many other supporters. Everyone who supports us there, supports us on YouTube by watching videos, liking, subscribing, leaving comments, which is huge. And everyone that comes to the zoo, and just everyone's support. I always like to end these videos this way because it really means a lot to us, and I want everyone to know that. So thank you so much, and stay tuned. And speaking of comments, if there's something else you want to see from the zoo, or have some sort of topic you want us to cover, leave a comment below and let us know, and we can maybe make that video. So, all right, that's it, and we'll see you in the next video.